Now. Well, welcome to today's webinar on EU Africa LNI funding opportunities, jointly organized by EURAXESS Africa and the LIPRI Energy Project. Thank you all for joining us today. Today's sessions aims to provide practical guidance on Horizon Europe funding opportunities, how to build strong partnerships, and how to prepare competitive proposals. We are delighted to have excellent speakers from the European Commission, LIPRI Energy, and Successful Horizon Europe project, who will share their expertise and experiences. So we encourage you to post your questions in the chat through the session, and we will address them during the Q&A sessions. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to give the floor to my colleague from Dr. May Becker from EURAXESS Africa to present EURAXESS Africa services before moving to our colleague from European Commission. So May, the floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is May Bakr, and I'm here with my colleague, Dr. Ahmed Maalil, as regional representatives of EURAXESS Africa. So I'm pleased to very briefly introduce EURAXESS Africa for those of you who do not already know about it. Okay. So EURAXESS Worldwide is an initiative of the European Commission since 2013, and its purpose is to really connect researchers around the world with opportunities in Europe. And we do so by promoting research jobs, fellowships, and funding opportunities. So you can think of EURAXESS as an information platform or service that helps researchers develop their careers in Europe. And it's built on the principle that it's the free movement of researchers and ideas is what propels scientific research. So we have a global network. We have a team of 18 dedicated representatives across 9 hubs around the world that is working to bring European research opportunities closer to the local research communities. And EURAXESS Africa is one of these worldwide hubs. It was launched in 2022 and is represented by Dr. Ahmed Maalil, who is based in Tunisia, Dr. Yedelfana Mekonnen, who is based in Ethiopia, and myself, May Bakr, who is based in Egypt. And we, of course, work across the continent to support African researchers and help make the European research opportunities more visible and accessible. So we provide, as I said, free access to information about research in Europe's funding opportunities, mobility schemes, but we also provide practical guidance for researchers who want to develop their careers in Europe or collaborate with European partners. And most important is that EURAXESS services are free of charge and the network is open to all nationalities, disciplines, and career stages. So we engage with the community through several channels. We have our official website, social media, flash notes, newsletters, also through information sessions and practical workshops that we organize. Our community now is comprised of over 22K email subscribers and over 21K followers on social media. So one easy way to stay informed is to subscribe to our EURAXESS Africa updates, and this will help you receive reliable and up-to-date information on EU funding and mobility, webinars, research opportunities directly through your email. So you can, of course, visit our official EURAXESS website, and this is where you can access specific EURAXESS worldwide hubs. So if you go here to network and select EURAXESS Worldwide, you will be guided to this page here where you can select the Worldwide Africa Hub. And this is where you can find all opportunities, news, and events related to Africa. So again, if you select here EURAXESS Africa, you will be guided to our page. And here you can find the news, events, and jobs. So here, researchers can, of course, search for PhD positions, postdoctoral opportunities, research jobs, hosting offers, and it's especially useful for early career researchers who are looking for their next career opportunity. So here, for example, I searched for postdoc opportunities in computational neuroscience. Then you can filter your search by country, research field, career stage, type of the position, and academic level. In addition to the website, I strongly encourage everyone to follow EURAXESS Africa on LinkedIn because we regularly post about funding calls, fellowships, opportunities, webinars, and event highlights. So we're also active beyond the online communication. We have engaged with researchers and institutions through physical events, which were held across 15 plus African countries to date. In April, EURAXESS Africa, we participated at GITEX Africa in 2026 in Morocco, and we engaged with researchers, innovators, and startups across Africa. Another recent event that took place last month was the Horizon Europe Information Session and Grant Writing Workshop at the Debre Berhan University in Ethiopia, which supported over 200 researchers and institution stakeholders with practical guidance on EU funding opportunities and proposal writing. And soon, this upcoming September, we will hold a physical event in Cairo, in Egypt. So we also organize regular online events covering Horizon Europe Africa Initiative and Mediterranean Initiative, MSCA and ERC info grants. So in 2026 alone, we had more than 14 webinars are planned in English and French. And we involve experts, fellows, NCPs, EU delegations, and research partners. So of course, we not only announce opportunities, but we help researchers understand how to practically make use of them. So to conclude, I really encourage everyone to join our research and innovation community, connect with us through our social media platforms, because we are here to support you. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Dr. May, for this nice presentation about your Access Africa services. Now we move to the EU-Africa R&I landscape and strategic opportunities by Jans Hogel from DVRTD, International Cooperation, Asia, Pacific, Africa, and Middle East. So Jans, the floor is yours, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ahmed, and welcome to all of you having joined today the webinar. I'm just trying to upload my presentation. Hold on for a second. No, sorry. I need to stop. Sorry, I made a mistake. I need to switch this one first. Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Actually, no, but
No?
I think no.
No, okay.
Can you share again?
Yeah, I'll try.
Yes. Wait. No.
No?
No. No.
Okay.
If not, I can try.
Okay, let me just stop this one. And I will try again. Hold on for a second. Okay, but now it's Zoom share. Wait, now it should come. No?
We are waiting. Yes. Now it's okay. Yes. Yes.
Let there be light at the end of the tunnel. So good afternoon, everyone who has joined the webinar. Glad you can be here. Let's talk about what the European Union has to offer in cooperation with our partners across the African continent in terms of research and innovation cooperation. And I will quickly go through my presentation if it allows me to. This is just a quick overview of the political background and policy background in terms of the cooperation between the European Union and the African Union on research and innovation. It has been, or it was started in 2021, so like 5 years ago. In the meantime, we had developed an innovation agenda that you can see here. I don't go into the details about the slides themselves. I'm sure you can discover all of this yourself, and you'll also find a couple of links that I attached in the slides. You can click on and access the websites that are there. So the innovation agenda was adopted in 2023. It's a joint document between the European Union and the African Union, and it really signifies a very good development that took place since 2010. So our cooperation started in 2010, and it was really kind of further developed since 2021. 2023 was the adoption of the innovation agenda, and since 21 we also had a couple of other initiatives. I will come to that now in a moment. The Horizon Europe work program, which is, or the Horizon Europe research framework program, is the instrument that is used for collaborative research at the international level. And when we talk about this collaborative research, we mainly refer to what we call the Pillar 2 of Horizon Europe. Let me go to the next slide. I think it's much clearer here. This Pillar 2 has a number of subject areas or themes, you can call it, research and innovation themes. And we start by health. Public health in principle, culture, creativity, inclusive societies is the second pillar. We have civil security for society. Then it's followed by digital, industry, and space. We have climate, energy, and mobility research. And last but not least, food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. All of these 6 clusters combine the largest amount of Horizon Europe funding that is there. These clusters present the largest, how can I say, or have the largest footstep in the research and innovation cooperation with the European Union. Just to clarify that, because that is also a frequent question, how the proposals, when you submit as applicant a proposal to the European Union, how these proposals are selected for funding. First of all, I think you should be aware, but I'm sure also that my colleagues will come to that later on. There is a chance of or a probability of having success with the proposals at a rate of 1 to 5. So every 5th proposal, I should say, is being selected for funding. And it depends, of course, on the popularity of the research called topics, the subjects in question for which the research, under which the research should be carried out. What are really the chances? Because in some research topics, we have only like 5 proposals, maybe 10. In others, you can have up to 50 and 60. So that, of course, depends or makes the difference between the chances for success if you are an applicant. Excellent. So award criteria are, in principle, the main one is really the scientific excellence. And you can find here the definition, what we consider the excellence. The same goes for impact. And the third criterion is quality and efficiency of the implementation. All of this, of course, has been evaluated by independent experts that are nominated each year. Usually also every time we invite different experts. So it's not always the same panels. It's always different panels to ensure that there is no bias in terms of the selection of the proposals. So this was the point on how proposals are selected. Now, what else have we done apart from having the policy, the partnership with the African continent, the joint R&I policy, the innovation agenda? Of course, one subject that is very important are our Africa initiatives. These are usually these are part of the research framework program, these Africa initiatives, and they are a collection of topics that are very very well suited for applications from African research institutions. They are in line with the innovation agenda priority areas, which are green transition, innovation and technology, public health, and capacities for science. And amongst these priority areas, there is usually a relatively equal distribution of research topics that do call for participation from the EU and the African Union side. We started with these Africa initiatives in 21, so it's 5 years ago. And we have now, and I'm coming to, with the next slide, I'm coming to that. We are now operating under Africa Initiative 4. We have more or less relatively large budgets allocated for the cooperation with the African partners. And you can see it here on the slide. It varies between 300 and 500 million euros per year. As a result, we signed 219 grants between EU and African Union participants. 535 organizations from Africa, or from more than 40 countries, are engaged in these research projects. And we have an overall allocation of Horizon Europe budget of 175 million euros to African entities. Again, you see here the thematic priorities that are served by the Africa initiatives, namely food and nutrition security and sustainable agriculture, climate change and sustainable energy, and global health. And of course, under global health, also the European and developing countries clinical trials partnership. In addition to that, we continue with our programs like the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions and the European Research Council programs that complement the efforts of the Africa initiatives. Now, some minor or some details, I should say, of the latest Africa initiative that is still ongoing, as it covers 2 years of science funding. You can see it's a 500 million initiative this time, and it was launched in January this year. It will have, for the work program 2027, there will be different timelines. So there will be core topics still open for application next year, until next year. Maybe I can just quickly come to that, and you can see it here on this slide. So again, the topics are grouped according to the clusters of the Horizon Europe work program. And starting with the health cluster, you see here that a few topics, the first 2 on this in this table, were already where we called already for the first 2 topics on this slide with the deadline of 16th April. But we have another 4 topics where the deadline is still open. So applications are still welcome. Although I must say the topics are not yet open for application, but you can prepare for developing your applications, of course. You can start looking for co-applicants with whom you could work together. And you can, of course, check all the details of the work programs by either we're coming to that, by going to the applicable websites, either EDCTP or Horizon Europe. We have other areas, as I said before, culture, creativity, and so on. And again, you will find the details of those topics in the tables. We have digital industry and space. I will just explain a little bit about the 2 topics. The first one here is international cooperation in artificial intelligence, which is what we call a coordination and support action, I think. And here you'll have, no, it's innovation action. Here you have €1.5 million per project that are assigned or allocated to these projects. As we have 2 projects, we have a total of 3 million budget. And you can see here expected outcomes and scope of activities. And this is the easiest way to see whether those call topics are in connection maybe with your own activities at the universities, and you can see whether you can develop your application accordingly. Climate, energy, and mobility is the next subject area. And here, sorry, I made a mistake. Here I'm coming to 2 research topics. The first one is the Africa-EU co-fund action on climate. Here we have the requirement of the successful projects that they need to have at least 30% African partners. And the funding rate on this co-fund action is a little bit complicated, but that should not distract the applicants from applications. Sorry, I'm just, okay. Then we have the second or last one, food, bioeconomy, natural resources area, and so on. Again, you see here 2 topics, call topics that will be open next year for application, namely the AU-EU partnership in food and nutrition security. And then the next topic, the optimizing the water, nutrient, energy nexus for sustainable and climate smart agriculture in Africa. We have also topics that are not really, how can I say, harbored in Pillar 2 of Horizon Europe, but in a different part of Horizon Europe, which is this one here is about the strengthening the international dimension of research infrastructures. ESFRI and ERIC are European organizations, and we would intend, or we have the intention to also cooperate with African partners in this area. Just to complete what I said on public health, so our global health EDCTP3 joint undertaking, and if you Google it, EDCTP3 is very well known to Google, so you'll have no problems finding it when you just type in those few letters, and you'll find EDCTP, and you'll find also the work programs of EDCTP on their own homepage. So these topics that are here on this slide that were already open for application this year, which will still be open until the 17th of September of this year, some of them at least, you can still apply for funding, provided, of course, that the country in which you're living is a member of the EDCTP3. But again, these are the rules of the game. If you want to know more, please go to the EDCTP3 website and check it out for yourself, or go to your national contact point if you have one in your own country, and speak with the colleagues on your side to see whether you can launch an application. And last but not least, of course, you can also use the colleagues of EURAXESS, Ahmed, May, and Fana, who will be very glad to help you in finding the opportunities that are there for you. And here, just to remind you how to search for Horizon Europe opportunities. You'll find these in the Funding and Tenders portal, and it's a very comprehensive website where there are all the calls for proposals that are open. You can find open, you can find closed calls for proposals. You can find tons of information about the about the research framework program on our site. And I'm sure there will be lots of information that would be of interest to you. And then finally, I'll collected a couple of another websites that are online on which you can find further information either about our cooperation between the EU and Africa, about our high-level policy dialogue on science, technology, and innovation between the EU and Africa, our cooperation fact sheets, our Horizon Europe website, the Africa initiatives, international cooperation websites, and so on. So you can spend hours and hours going through those websites. And with these words, I thank you very much, and I hope it was not too long. Back to Ahmed, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jans, for this nice presentation. I think we got a lot of useful information about EU-Africa RNI cooperation. So now it's time to move to our colleague Leonard Levesque from Leap Energy, Program Coordinator. Leonard, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you also to the whole EURAXESS team for the excellent organization of this webinar, to Jens and the colleagues from the Commission. So yes, Leonard working at LGI, French company, SME coordinating Leap Energy, which is the new name of a partnership that maybe you already heard about, which is the long-term Euro-African partnership on sustainable energy, renewable and sustainable energy. So it is an initiative that started back in 2018, in which we have the capacity to fund research and innovation projects in the field of renewable and sustainable energy. The main asset to fund those projects is to launch calls, different calls for project, what we call financial support to third party. So we do coordinate this process along with the French research agency, l'ANR. And on the African continent, we do coordinate this initiative along with the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation in South Africa and the Ministry of Higher Education and Research in Algeria. So I would like not to introduce slides, but actually we are working on the delivery of our new website. So I'm giving you a preview of what will be soon online, if it's not already online. To also let you know that we had an open call for project which received a high number of applications in the last months. We do expect also funding new projects through new calls for projects in the next months. This is a tentative decision that will be discussed at the General Assembly level, but it is quite in line with what the colleagues from EURAXESS and the colleagues from the European Commission presented, in the sense that this is a funding opportunity for you based in Africa and also in Europe to apply and potentially to get funds to develop innovative projects in the field of energy. So the main asset, as I mentioned, is the co-funding aspect. So as you can see, we have a high number of funding agencies that are participating into the program. So basically they are funding with national treasury. And if we reach a certain threshold of public commitment from those countries, from those member states, then the European Commission also brings an additional top-up that gives us notably the possibility to fund African partners which are based in countries not represented on this list. So before sharing my screen, I saw someone asking, is Zimbabwe eligible? Basically, in this framework, you would be eligible by benefiting from this European top-up directly managed by my company. On the European side, as you can see, there are also a significant number of agencies. So as I said, the coordinator is the French Research Agency. So thanks to this co-funding mechanism, we have been launching several calls. You will have the list here. So 3 of them are closed. The call 2026 currently is closed as well, but we are in the second step of the evaluation. So there is no concrete opportunity for you to apply in the next months. But as I said, we hope we will be in capacity to launch a new call in the next month or years. So the main asset of those calls is that at the end of the day, we do fund projects. So you will have the possibility to filter also the number of projects that we have been funding in the past since 2020. All those projects, they are addressing several technologies, thematic priorities that have been agreed on by the member states. So from recycling of renewable energy components to clean cooking, cold chain technologies, also addressing production and utilization of green hydrogen. So this is quite broad. It means that even if you do not have a project or a concept that directly addresses those topics, there are many ways to refine the concept so that it is eligible. And we already reached quite a significant critical mass of beneficiaries because we have been funding more than 300 organizations. So you can also navigate on the website and check where are the awarded organizations that benefited from the calls. Of course, as we are benefiting also from the financial support from African and European member states, there is another representation of some states as Morocco and South Africa who are great contributors of the framework, as well as Algeria and Egypt and many others. But let's say that South Africa, Morocco, Algeria, and Egypt were historical members and funders of this initiative. So I will not take too much time on that. I would simply like to recall that we also developed, you will have here the possibility to join the platform to click on that and access a community-based platform, which is designed as a simple social network where you can exchange about some updates or research activities. It is organized in different features. So you have a user directory where you can find the names and the identity of the researchers that are involved. So we have, I think, approximately 4,000 experts. Yes, 3,800. You also have the possibility to look for potential project partners through the consortium search, so the matchmaking feature, let's say. So I kindly invite you to have a look to this platform, to consider that Leap Energy is made first to fund research and innovation in the field of sustainable energy, to fund African-based organizations. We have really thought about the way Africa could be awarded in that process. And we have a permanent secretariat. You can reach out to us anytime, also to Marie-Laure Tarot at the French Research Agency. And as I said, from the African side, we also have colleagues who remain available in South Africa and Algeria to take any question should you want to get additional information on that program. I'm available in any case to answer any question. Thanks again to EURAXESS for this opportunity, and I give you back the floor, Ahmed.
Okay, thank you, Leonard, for this. Also for this presentation. I see the website is very. I think it's nice to explore this website with a lot of services and a lot of options. So I think let's move to Mina, and I will share my screen on your behalf.
Thank you.
Okay, tell me if you can see my screen or not.
Yes, we can go a few slides later to Horizon European Practice. Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Yes.
So
Nice.
here, yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Nice.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here today. I am a colleague of Leonard, and I was involved in LIPRE project. I am, in fact, what we do at LGI is that we help organizations manage their projects, but we also help in proposal writing. So I thought that this would be my role today, is after all those speakers presenting various opportunities to kind of encourage you to try and to, this is hard. So applications, navigating the system, reading the calls, making it up until funding is complex and is challenging, but it's absolutely possible. And this is what would be the main message. In fact, this is what we want to do in 30 minutes. This is how much I would have. It's not to present you Horizon Europe or the rules or how to make successful applications. It would be more how to get involved and what would be the first step, in fact, if you want to get involved. So to make it super practical. So these are the goals of today's sessions. We can go very quickly through what is Africa Initiative, because this was presented already by Jens in a very nice way. So just briefly, the idea is to have projects that are co-created, which means that the involvement must be meaningful. We are not using African organizations or use cases as something that is extra, as the projects should be designed and conceptualized together between European and African partners. That's the important message here. So at a glance, since Jens presented this very good, I'm just going to say that there are a few, if you can go to the site, yes, here. So there are a few, sorry, if you can go 2 slides before. Yes, here, perfect. So the key thematic areas, I'm not gonna talk again about it, just to tell you maybe for the orientation that the majority of calls are in the public health area. That's probably 1/3 of all the calls. This is where the opportunities are. But there are also quite some opportunities in green transition and climate resilience, agriculture, food systems, climate, nature-based solutions. And there are some opportunities as well in the digital transformation and AI. And here there are less opportunities, but with higher budgets. So that could be interesting for you, just as an indication of what exists. I thought that this slide can be interesting and it's not repetitive, because here see that when we talk about Africa Initiative, in fact, that's not a separate funding mechanism. It's the same thing as Horizon Europe. This just means that some calls are open to partners from Africa, and they require partners from Africa. And it recaps very well that, in fact, it's the same type of funding schemes. So you can have research and innovation action, coordination and support action. I will later explain what that does mean. Then you would also get into these calls through the funding and tenders portal that I will show later on. You have the same evaluation criteria. The application looks the same. And the impact should be slightly different because we need to have in mind this African Union EU innovation agenda and how do we contribute to it. We can go to the next one. So this is the next block. As I said, very briefly, we said that we would present the Africa Initiative. Now, the main goal of this section is to tell you where can I find these calls. So how to get, what is this funding and tenders portal, how I can orientate myself there, and also to maybe say a few words about these key notions or jargon that you need to be familiar with just to know what we're talking about. So for starting your search, we will share the slides later on, but the main website is the funding and tenders portal. That's the main thing. Also here, what you see on the right side, this is the call for partners view. So under each call, if you find a call for proposals, so an opportunity that you might be interested to apply for, you have a little button that says a call for partners. And there, some of the organizations kind of position themselves for that call. They say, oh, we're looking for partners. This is what we can bring. This is our expertise. This is our solution. This is what we would like to do. If you're interested or building a consortia, please connect with us. So that's also something interesting to just see how it works. We can go to the next slide, please. So this is the funding and tenders. This is really how it looks when you go on the website. As you will see in this blue sort of, yes, this blue upper thing. You have the home, and then you have funding. On the funding, you have calls for proposals. You go there, you click there, that's the first button. And then the second one is that you have this quick search. So in the quick search, I have put Africa, just to see wherever it's mentioned in the title of the call. But in fact, you can also search by your key research interests. You can put, I don't know, we mentioned nature-based solutions. And then you would see all the calls. What is also important is that you can click whether you want the forthcoming calls, the calls that are right now open for submission, or the closed ones. That's also the thing that you see that is circled in yellow. So I would advise you to maybe look for forthcoming calls. And this is what Jens made a point. Now you're looking for things that will open in a few months, not for things that are open now for submission, because that is probably too late and consortiums are pretty far in the negotiations and discussions and conceptualizing things. But the forthcoming calls are those that will be open in a few months or next year. This is really interesting. We can go to the next one. So I will put a little, I will put, yes, I will present you this slide. I will stay here for a few minutes because I think it's important. There is this European jargon, and it's important just to be on the same page what some of these things mean. So coordination and support actions is a specific funding scheme. Then we also have research and innovation action, and innovation council. The first one is usually really meant to support coordination and networking capacity building. So it's really about making connections. There is very little or no research or technological development. It should be just a side activity. The core activity should be how you build an ecosystem, how you access to the right stakeholders, how you make policy contributions. That's the main goal of the CSA. Then you have the next one, which is research and innovation action. This is really to generate new knowledge, and this is to develop any innovation solutions. This is very close to the laboratory work, to testing, prototyping. You would usually have something that is called TRL, technology readiness level, and it should be quite low because you're really at the beginning of your research. Then you also have,
Yeah, it's okay. I think we have a little bit problem with the sound, but now it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Then you have innovation actions. That's really for the demonstration and market uptake. What does it mean? It means that these projects should be closer to the market. Yes.
Mina, there is an issue with your mic. Sometimes
I can hear you.
Can you please?
Now?
Yeah, it's better now. Thank you.
Now, is it better?
Now, thank you.
Okay, sorry. So yes, we were talking about the innovation actions, which are really about the demonstration and validation, and they should be closer to the market. And in the end, this innovation council supports startups and SMEs. These projects have large budgets, so the usual budgets are around 3 to 6 million euros. But you can have also some very big projects of 30 million euros or even more that have this cascade funding inside. And the usual amount of partners, they say that you need to have at least three partners from 3 eligible countries. But in what we see, usually it's 6 to 15 partners. So these projects are truly collaborative, except from the Innovation Council, where you have one entity that applies. Why is that? In fact, it's because it was really made, if we can go to the slides before, because it was really made with the simple idea that people collaborate across borders. So the idea is that you have researchers and you have SMEs and you have universities and you have NGOs that are working together on some big challenges that the European Union has defined as main challenges that they need to resolve in the near future. But since we were talking about these big budgets and a lot of partners that need to be in, what is our message today is that you also have this other kind of opportunity, which is called cascade funding or financial support to third parties. This is what Leonard was talking about. And this is really a simple way to get in. So that's maybe one of the big messages for today. This is where you can start, let's say, easily. So we can go to the next slide. So what is this? Financial support to third parties means that in a big Horizon Europe project that is already funded, you have an open call, and this project distributes smaller grants. And these smaller grants are around 60,000 euros, usually, but they can be all from 15,000 to 150K. It depends in the call. In the call for proposals, you will see what are the rules. They're also shorter and applications. And this is really ideal for organizations that want to start somewhere, that are maybe not ready for the full partnership, to be a coordinator or to be a partner, but they want to experience and they want to see how does it work to be a part of Horizon Europe. So yes, this is really an excellent stepping stone, and we would like to have this as one of the main messages from today. So if you're not ready for the big projects, don't worry. There is this FSTP component that can be really helpful. We can go to the next one. So we have seen where to look, and now we will go to whether this call is right. How to build a proper partnership, so the consortium, how to build a proper consortium, and what does it take to make a good proposal. It was very challenging to put this presentation together because that's a lot of topics, but the idea is to make it really simple and just to pass the key messages. So this is where you would find the call, and maybe my homework for all of you from today, if you want to start somewhere, you can maybe pass 30 minutes tomorrow trying to find a call that fits your needs. That would be really helpful. I showed you how to find on the funding and tenders portal where to find calls, especially the forthcoming ones. So this is what you could do after this little workshop, and see how does it feel. So these things that are highlighted in yellow are really the key call information. So here you see that I have highlighted the innovation action, because this tells you a lot. This is the information that tells you a lot. Then single stage, it means that you only apply once. Grant budget based, we have two types. One is that you have a usual or typical budget, and then you need to provide financial reports, and based on your actual spending, you get reimbursed by the Commission. Or you can have lump sums where you don't need to provide financial reporting, but then it's a little bit of a different logic of how you build your proposal. And the deadline date, as we said, this should not be too soon. So if you see a deadline date in September, it's probably too late, but this is a good fit. I just wanted to find a call that could be interesting for you, and that will be open soon in December. We can go to the next one. So I promised that we would talk, where do you start when you have found your call? So what we usually do, and we advise, is to make this call reading exercise. What does it mean? You have opened the web page and you have all the call elements as I have shown before, and then you have the expected outcomes and scope of the call. What is really important to remember from this webinar is that everything in the call is there with the meaning. Let's say everything is there because it should be there. How the calls are being made is a very complex discussions between the member states, between different stakeholders. People are muscling out who is gonna put what is really important for the EU, and then the states have different views, and then in the end they agree on the call text. So what you're reading here is every single word that you read in a small call is there with a reason. And in that sense, you should really try to read it as if you would be reading in a foreign language. So you read something and then you ask yourself, what does it mean? Am I sure that I understood this well? Why is this here, this sentence here? So the call text tells you what to write, but it also tells you what not to write. So that's the main message. Please read very well the call text. And what we usually do is just to take all the text from the website and we put it in a Word document. And then you start this exercise of highlighting things, putting comments, thinking about things that are maybe weird. You're not sure why they're there. You're questioning if there is any tension, like conceptual tension. What does this mean? This scope that they're proposing. So all of these things, you should really question them one by one and try to have the best possible understanding of the call. We can go to the next one. So this is still the call reading exercise. Why is it important to make it? It's really about not reading the call, but understanding or interpreting the call. So really take it as a, reading something in a foreign language. You want to be sure that you understand every single word. These are the questions that I leave you for later, and they just tell you what you should be looking at once you read the call and you see whether you're a good fit. Then you should also think about any potential difficulties or risks. So to be quite honest and say, okay, is this call difficult to position? What this second question means. Is it difficult to position? It means, is this a catch-all call? Is this a call that has so many elements, but we only have a budget of 5 million? Is this realistic? Is this a call that is a bit too unclear? Is this a call that promises too much, or the call that we are not quite sure how to respond? If that's the case, then better not to go. You really need to read all those signals. Okay, we can go to the next one. So once you know that this is a good opportunity, what should you do next? So you have read the call, you really have a good understanding. There's some information to collect as the call details, the contacts, who is going to contribute, your partners. And then there is some information to be defined, objectives, work packages, and responsibilities. That was the brief slide. We can go to the next one. Who can apply? So this is really typical as in Horizon Europe projects. You can have up to at least three applicants. But here I have highlighted for you to see this signal. So it says, the following additional eligibility criteria apply. At least 2 legal entities established in at least 2 different African Union member states must be part of the consortium. This tells you that this is part of this African initiative thing, and that you are obliged to have partners from the African Union. And this is something that is very clear, but you could also have some less clear or more implicit signals on whom should be also in your partnerships. For instance, sometimes the GRC that is mentioned, collaboration with GRC, or we see in this call, and it's usually under this section, eligible conditions or other information. It says, for instance, you need to have the component of social sciences and humanities. Well, that tells you that you need to have good universities or research centers that work in social sciences and humanities, and they should have a proper weight. So usually by reading the call, doing this call reading exercise very well, you could tell who should be part of your consortium. We can go to the next one. So how to build a strong consortium from the beginning. Here, the main message is that this is a process that is a two-way process. So your idea will shape the consortium. By reading the call, you would have a clue or idea who should be there, who are the key partners. But then also the consortium shapes your idea. So you shouldn't be too far in your idea and then invite the partners. This is not a good proposal, in fact. A good proposal should really involve and integrate the partners from the very conceptual phase. So in the beginning, when you start, only once you have the consortium closed, you should discuss the objectives, the main activities, and really develop conceptually your idea. And this is what makes a difference. And especially in these partnership calls, when they require European and African partners, better not to try to do it all by yourself. It should be really genuine and participatory. We can go to the next one. So maybe this is a short slide that we will leave for you for later, but this is a big question every time, is whether the best is to coordinate or to join as a partner. So there are pros and cons for the coordinator or the partner, and choose this role wisely. On the next slide, I will show how you can make this decision. So before deciding to coordinate, you can ask yourself a few questions. One is, how strong is your idea? In order to be a coordinator, you need to really have a very strong concept yourself first, something to put on the table. Then, how good are you at inviting partners, and do you have an idea of the partnership? And then the third one would be, what is your experience in project management? So if you haven't been involved in a lot of European projects, then probably a better start would be to be a partner and not to lead the coordination of the proposal. And if you're not interested to be a coordinator or a partner, or this scares you a little bit because you're really about to start and to see how this can be done, then this FSTP cascade funding thing that we talked about can be really a good start for you. So that would be the message. We can go to the next one, please. This is very briefly, because there are a lot of ways. There is no one right way how to find the consortium or partners. There are a lot of existing networks and strategic alliances that you can reach out. There are also info days, there are networking events, there are stuff that are organized by the European Commission, there are thematic related conferences or scientific conferences. So these are all the venues where you can find potential partners. And then there's also some partner search services, and we have also put this LEAP Opportunities platform as one of them that you can check. We can go to the next one. I thought about what could be interesting for you, in fact, if you're thinking whether you're ready or whether you would like to participate in a Horizon Europe project. So you have decided not to be a coordinator, but you would like to be a partner, and now you need to find a consortium that is in the building and try to position yourself as a credible partner. And we have shared with Leonard a few positioning tips, how to make your organization credible. What is also interesting and can work well is to make some sort of a partner presentation of your institution, where you would say what are your strong points. And I would really advise you to be very specific and to read again the call, and really not make something that is general or generic, but really put your expertise in the light of the call requirements. So say, for instance, this call requires this, and that. Well, we have a very niche expertise. We have access to equipment. We have access to networks. We can bring you African stakeholders. We are connecting with end user groups. So these kind of things are interesting for this positioning. And when I say partner fish or partner, let's say ID, this can also be in a form of an email. It's more about when you meet someone and when this organization is interested to participate or to coordinate a call, how to present yourself in the best possible way so you can be in. We can go to the next one, please. This previous part was about the partnership, and now we are going to proposal management, and this is not going to take long because we don't have, unfortunately, time to go through all of the phases of proposal management. But it's important to say that building a proposal is like managing a mini project, and when I say mini project, it can also be it's big. So it's more of a big life event project, you know, like you want to move a house or you're planning some big international trip. And what do you need to have in mind before starting? So that's really, really important. You don't really look into details at the start. At the start, you look at what is important. It's a deadline, it's your budget, it's with whom you want to travel, what is your destination. So these are the key elements, and you figure them out at the beginning. And then you do this planning backwards from the deadline. So from there, you go and see and figure out all the details. What is important to say is that you need to make those big decisions at the very start, because all these kind of late decisions or changing of plans can cost you much when you're planning a proposal. Yes, and it's at least 3 months before the deadline. So for the applications elements to prepare, I'm not gonna take long on that one, just to tell you that there is something that is called Part A. It just means administrative information on the website, on the Funding and Tenders portal. The Part B is this technical part. It's the writing part where you explain what you will be doing. Note that this has been simplified lately. So now you have less and less pages, which is really a good opportunity for all of us to be concise. It can be also quite challenging to put all your ideas on 40 pages or 25 pages. These are the page limits, the usual page limits. And then you have the budget that you need to detail, in fact. We can go to the next one. Finally, how do you know that something is a strong proposal and that it's going to be a successful one? The key message here is that it's not science or credible parameters that will make it, but you have a few elements that are, according to our experience, very, very important. So the one is right timing. When I say right timing, it's more about why now. Can you explain why the issue that you want to solve with your project is really important to be solved right now? There is an urgency. There is a policy urgency. There is a climate risk urgency. You need to explain why this is credible and important and urgent today. Another big point, so there's, of course, clear added value for European Union and African Union, the right consortium, the credible implementation. But apart from why now, the next biggest question is how to make it very impactful. What does it mean? As you know, Horizon Europe is very impact-driven program. This means that you need to credibly explain how you will contribute to each of the outcomes that were mentioned in the call. Really need to make a clear line. How do you contribute to all of them? Not one or two, but all of them. And this is what makes really a change, because the European Commission, who funds this, they want to see how is your project idea a little puzzle, you know, one puzzle that creates a bigger picture. And it really needs to be kind of part of the bigger strategies, of the bigger policy documents, of the bigger context. So that this is maybe our recommendation, is to always think about this impact, to put enough time and resources in making the impact section that is going to be good. And thinking about what comes after. So that's also incredibly important. How do you ensure sustainability of your project? Okay, so you saw what evaluators expect, and now we will be talking what happens after you get funded. So the next slide is about the evaluation criteria. But Jens was talking about that. So you have three main criteria that your that your proposal will be scored against. One is excellence, one is impact, and one is quality and efficiency of implementation. And the only thing that I would like to point here is that creating some kind of sensitivity matrix from previous proposals is a very good idea. So what we do for us, for our own purposes, is that we make some sort of an Excel file where you can put all the proposals that you have submitted with the main sentences from evaluation report, and you try to list what were the shortcomings and what were the really strong points. And in that sense, you make some conclusions and you try to learn from mistakes, but also from the strong points in different proposals. And if you're representing a bigger institution, if you're like, for instance, coming from a university, probably you would have different applications from different departments, but you can still have some kind of very interesting and important conclusions. We can go to the next one. Okay, so this is the nicest email that you can get. It's when they tell you that your project has been funded. Usually you have some typical timeline. The timeline is that you have 5 months from the submission to the evaluation, and then you have 1 to 3 months to prepare the grant agreement. This is some kind of a process where you open your proposal and you see with the commission if some slight modifications are needed, and then you sign the grant, which is the contract between you and the commission. And then the project start date is confirmed and you can start the project implementation. What is important here is that the roles and responsibilities are then becoming really crucial. So what we were talking about, the coordinator and the partners, this becomes really important. And each partner has its role in the project implementation. But what is also important to tell that this journey does not start only when you're, and this is going to be my last slide, that this journey does not start only when your proposal is funded. It starts now. So we can go to the next slide. Yes, so some of the key messages. You don't need to coordinate your first project. So you don't need to be the coordinator. You don't need to know every Horizon Europe rule, and you do not need to have decades of experience or of project management capacity. What you need to is to identify the right opportunity, and this you can start today, literally after our webinar. You need to start thinking early about the right partnerships, and this is what Jens was referring to as well. So start thinking about your network now, today. Who could be your allies and who could help you build the right proposal? And then start engaging with the ecosystem, which means that these partnerships can really start now, and you do not need to find a perfect call, which would be to coordinate or to even be a partner in Horizon Europe proposal. Maybe you can participate in an open call through Cascade funding, and that is more reasonable for your organization or easier. So this is really, really the main message is do not wait, and this journey can start today. It doesn't start with the first project. It starts from today.
Okay, this is the last slide. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, nice, very nice. Thank you, Mina, for this presentation. I think we learned a lot from you today, and I hope that we will share the slide, and we'll share the recording video as well with all participants in EURAXESS Africa portal, and of course in the LIP Energy portal. So let's move to the first testimonial with us, Mr. Dave Lelo from South Africa, from Cape Town. Dave, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dave Lelo. I'm with Ikazi Energy in Cape Town in South Africa. We work on development projects in Africa. We're a small commercial research and development company, and we were interested and are interested in partnering with industrial research with universities. Our area of interest is in biomass research. So we have worked on biomass gasification, we've worked on torrefaction, and our major objective is to help with clean cooking in Africa. We have found that biomass in Africa is very different. The different plant species, the climates are different, the infrastructure around forestry and industrial processing is different. The impact funding has different structures. The needs and the business needs of the consumers and the businesses is very different. But the technology of combustion and biomass is largely the same. So we don't want to start at ground zero. We want to really work in a collaborative way and stand on other people's shoulders. That's really what we were looking for. We've been involved in 2 projects, one with Horizon Europe directly on torrefaction, and we have just closed off a project with Libri on gasification cooking for cook stoves. So what I'd like to do this afternoon is just highlight, I guess, what Mina has said. I'm going to repeat a lot of what she said, but from a personal experience point of view, why is it important to participate, and why is Horizon or Libri important? Well, it's really about co-creation. It's about finding common ground between Africa and Europe. We don't want to start at ground zero. We do want to collaborate, and we do want to transfer technology. So we want expertise that has been in Europe for a long time be transferred to Africa. These projects really promote cross-border cooperation. The projects have been set up in a way that it forces you to think collaboratively. It forces you to think about co-creation, and it forces you to work together in teams. I believe that one of the major benefits is it provides real empirical information. It's very easy to go and find research around the world where there is biomass research from trees and plants and different species in Europe or in Asia or in North America. But working in Africa improves the context. It improves the quality of the solutions. And the Libri also requires you to look at commercialization. The outcomes are very important in the evaluation. So you can't just say, well, I'm going to research this for the point of research. They really want to know what is the impact that this is going to do, and how feasible is the commercialization of the technology. And that has really helped us focus us and help us get to our goals quicker than it has before. To me, it helps to identify the key success factors and focused areas. And for us, what our objective was we wanted to take the technology and develop products that could be built in Africa. So it helped us with capacity building. It helped us with designing it. We've been able to adapt our products, build in new features that allow us to improve our cost structures and improve the efficiency of our stoves. So just looking at the application, as Mina has said, take note of I believe it's important to take note of the themes offered. Sometimes a project could fit in 1 or 2 or 3 of the themes. So find the one that it fits best with. Sometimes that's got to do with the partnerships that you set up. Focus on the impact, not just the technology. If you just focus on the technology, you're not going to win any bids into this. Beware of the modalities. So some of the partners need to be focused on pure research. Others need to be part of the community and the impact and how it plays out in the areas that it's been focused on. Look at the eligibility requirements right up front. The challenges. Well, coordination is key, but it can make things complex. So when you see that you've got 2 partners, 3 partners, it's easy. Then you get to 4 partners, 5 partners, 6 partners. It becomes increasingly complex. And these are across multiple countries, and that's a requirement. So each application is a consortium, and the consortium needs to be seen as a block. The consortium can't be seen as a group of loosely brought together people who have got some kind of common interest. It needs to have a very good focus and outcome. There are going to be multiple work packages and multiple budgets, and there is going to be tension between peer research and commercial realities. Some of the universities just want to do research for research purposes, and other people who are more on the commercial side want to say, well, what am I going to do with this research? You can't just publish a paper and leave it there. It's got to move across into impact, because if it doesn't impact anything, there was no point in the research, certainly for these projects. So I would say, if you want success, start with the impact. Identify the technology gaps. You want some impact, but you know there are technology gaps. You know there are things that you can't find in research papers. There are things that are different to the area that you're looking at, and then you will identify those gaps that are there that now need to be filled in, those questions that need to be answered. And that will help you to work out what the outcomes that you want to achieve. If it's a particular, in our case, it was a particular, in Europe, all the wood pellets are made from wood. They're made from softwoods. We don't have softwoods in Africa. We don't have, the woods in Africa are being destroyed by charcoal. So we were looking for agricultural residues. We were looking at grasses. We were looking at bamboos. We were looking at peanut shells. We were looking at coconut shells. So we were looking at very different environments, but there was no research in these products of how they could be turned into pellets. So those are the things that we needed to look at. We needed to see, how did they burn differently to woods? How did it affect our stove? How did it affect the metals that we used in the stove? So look for those gaps, find out what those gaps are, and see how those gaps can improve the impact that you have in the market that you are. I would say, before looking for all of your partners, find your lead coordinating team. So there needs to be a lead coordinator in Africa, there needs to be a lead coordinator in Europe, and set out a project outline before looking for more partners. If you've got 7 partners and then you try to find some common ground, it's going to be difficult. Find 2 or 3 as your lead partners, get a project plan together, identify what it is, and then look for people that can support you. There will not ever in a project be just lead partners. There will be those that lead and those that support. So look for the leaders first, identify the project, make sure about eligibility, make sure about it in terms of the commercial, the research, all sorts of things. The list of eligibility is very long. You don't want to go down 2 or 3 months and then find out that somebody's not eligible and you must start looking for a new partner. That creates a whole lot of complexity and delays your project and could make you miss your deadline. Use the matchmaking features. They're very useful. They will help you find people who are like-minded in the network, and they can really get you a long way. Set out the work packages and objectives very clearly. It's very important that each lead person in each work package has the ability to lead. It's very difficult when you start a project and then you find out that it's always nice to say, okay, well, one partner is going to lead each package. That's what it sounds like. But then you find out that some people are weaker than others, and that work package could be a very important work package. And now when you're trying to formulate your application, you find out that partner is not able to clearly set out that one and do what it is. And make sure that your strong record keeping lists, and finding out that when you need the funding and when you need to put in your applications, that their partners don't have strong record keeping capabilities, because then you're going to really lose out in the whole thing. So my last thing would be, is my experiences. I found a rich learning experience through this. We've been able to get research done that would not have been possible with our own funding. So we've really been able to use EU funding and research funding that was given to universities to achieve our objectives. And it's helped me build a network of collaborators. I have now people that I can call on at any time outside of the projects for little questions and little help, and they will put me in contact. So I've really found, as a commercial operation and as a person who's research and development in industrial research, I now have a pool of resources in Africa and in Europe that I can call on. And I would encourage all of you, it takes work, it takes effort, but the rewards are there. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Dave, for your experience, sharing your experience with us. So let's move to the second testimonial for today. Bernard Mora. Bernard, can you open your mic?
Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, everything is fine.
Good. Thank you. And hello, everyone. Maybe you can share my presentation, or I can share from where I am.
Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed. Confirm you can view my screen.
Yes.
Good. Thank you so much. Today I'm giving a testimonial from a managing of a project point of view. My name is Bernard Mwaura from Strathmore University, one of the African partners under the LIPRI program. And we worked very closely with the coordinators, that is the RGI, Leonard, in managing the African finances for most of the African partners. And in today, I'm going to share some of so there, my profile, as I said. In our today's discussion, I want to give a testimonial on how you can successfully manage the finances for the EU programs for success and for delivery of the project that you'll be implementing anytime soon. And the topics that we are going to cover today, we have the understanding of EU financial requirements, the financial reporting under the EU grant, some of the challenges that African partners experience, how can we be ready for audit at any given time, as well as look at some of the lessons that we have learned over time from managing the pre-LIPRI program and now LIPRI and other projects of EU that we have managed at the university. And the key thing here is that as a partner or an implementing partner, it's very important to ensure that you follow the guidelines, you follow the EU rules to ensure that you don't end up having some challenges or audits being undertaken and consequences that can lead to loss of funds, penalties, and also the same can also lead to reputational damages and financial losses. And what are some of the key consequences of errors? And the EU and the coordinators will prefer that we avoid all these errors because it makes work easier for the researchers, for the people managing the project, and even for all the partners and the consortium partners who are being involved in the project. And the key advice is that you need to really understand your grant agreements, and I'm presenting this as one of the person who support the researchers because I am in the administration side. So you need to have a support system, and as well as the researchers, you need to understand the grant agreement very well. And where anything is not clear, you can always seek clarification from the project coordinator. And in most cases, they are able to provide the guidance. And where it's not yet clear, they always seek advice from the European Commission to ensure that everything is right and everything is correct and aligned with the EU rules and requirements. So on this other slide, we have the internal controls that are very good. And this is something that we have learned here in the university. And it can also apply to any other institution implementing the EU programs, be it a university, an SME, or any other non-profit organization. It's very good to have a working control or internal controls to ensure that you always plan, you act, and you do, and you keep checking to ensure compliance with all the EU requirements. One of the key issues that you have to keep in mind and you have to be very careful with is the documentation, filing, and record keeping. And here we say that, or our experience have been that documentation is very important and it matters a lot. And you need to keep documentation of all the costs that were incurred. Those are the actual costs, as well as you compare their eligibility and being able to define or demonstrate how they were necessary to the project that you're implementing. Also, those costs can be traceable in the financial or the institutional accounting system. And also remember very well that during an audit, the burden of proof lies with the beneficiary. And if you are not able to provide an adequate evidence, then you end up having your expenditure being declared ineligible, which becomes an additional cost to the implementing partners. And the key thing here is that if you cannot be able to provide the documentation, or if you do not, you didn't document any transaction, the EU or even the coordinator can declare those costs as if they didn't happen. And some of the common challenges that we have seen is that most of the partners will be missing some of the procurement documents, or they have documents that are incomplete, especially the unsigned timesheets, or sometimes even you have delays in collecting the supporting document from the researchers. And another challenge is that due to the project lifetime, some of them will take 5 years or to 7 years or 10 years. The staff turnover in the project can lead to loss of knowledge and loss of documents. And again, relying on paper records without any electronic backups. And some of the key best practices to ensure that you have, one is to establish a standardized project filing system. And it's always advisable you maintain both physical and electronic records. And again, you reconcile your supporting documents on every month, as well as you keep or you conduct a periodic internal document reviews before any financial reporting. And as you may be aware, the financial reporting may not be the 12 calendar months. So it's always important to ensure that you constantly check your recording to ensure that there are no gaps that can affect the project in future. So some of the lessons that we have learned here is that it's good to keep documents because it's easier to explain than to reconstruct those documents during the audit, and that becomes very difficult. And again, a centralized electronic document repository also makes it easier to access, and it also ensures that the records are well protected against any damage. And then there has to be a very strong collaboration between the researchers, the procurement teams of this institution, the finance, and any other project management teams to ensure that any document or any audit trail is well kept and can be and it's verifiable during the time of the audit. So the other key item is actually the payroll and the time management. This is the recording the staff time, and you'll be aware that one of the biggest components of most of the EU grants is the staff costs. And it's very good to keep the staff records and to ensure that they are countersigned by a supervisor. And the key thing here to note is that if the time worked cannot be demonstrated with reliable records and any other related personnel costs, during audit, those costs can be declared ineligible, even if the staff really worked and there was a genuine work that was already carried out. The key challenges that we have experienced African partners or beneficiaries have, one is that researchers often view timesheets as an administrative burden rather than a contractual requirement, because this is a requirement from the EU. And then you'll find that most of the time records are incomplete, as I said earlier on. And then the finance team and project teams do not regularly review these timesheets before the reporting. And as I said earlier on, to ensure that there are no situations whereby you lose documents when staff leave the institution, it's always good to ensure that the timesheets are kept every month. Some of the audit findings, as I said earlier on, this one I will not repeat again, but maybe the key thing here, you'll find that hours claimed exceed the institution's annual productive hours. You know, there is the computation of the staff time. Also, you find that personnel costs are claimed during the time the staff were on annual leave or on sick leave. And then you'll find some of the hours that are claimed, they are not supported by any deliverables. Remember, when we are reporting for the European Union projects, there is the monthly rates and there is the deliverables and the work packages. And the time claimed has always to align with the work packages and the deliverables of the project. So some of the best practices or some of the lessons that we have learned and implemented, one is that you introduce electronic timesheets management where possible. This, we have found it very time saving, and it even makes it easier for the researchers to log in the time they have worked on the project. And then you make it a requirement that each and every month for all the EU project that you are managing, the claim forms or any document request for payment is accompanied by timesheets that are fully approved. And it's always good to keep reconciling the reported hours with payroll and the project work plans so that you don't find a situation whereby you have claimed more personal months as they compare to your budget. Again, it's important to train all your researchers and the project staff on the importance of recording time right from the project inception. So the other third item that is quite key is actually the procurement. And here the key thing, the EU rules are very clear on the procurement. And if procurement does not comply with the rules, the contracting authority, that is the European Union, may always recover the funds. And the key thing here being the best value, you'll find that in most instances, partners are not able to demonstrate how some tenders were being offered based on the best value approach. And then you even find that the participants' own normal practices were not applied, and there were no documentation that was kept in relation to procurement of any goods and services in EU programs. So some of the common audit findings, you'll find that quotations and tender documents are missing. Then you find there are no evidence of supplier evaluation. You find that approvals are missing. There are no minutes of the committees that approve the procurements. And in some instances, you'll find that the delivery notes are missing, or you find there were weak justification for the supplier who was selected. And the key thing here to run is that you need to plan early and start your procurement early. Do not wait until the last month when the project needs goods and services to start the procurement. Then you have to maintain a complete procurement file from the requisition of goods and services to the payment of those goods and services, all the way to the delivery notes. All that documentation has to be end-to-end to ensure that the process had no gaps. And again, it's always important that you involve your procurement and finance teams to support you through this process. So the other key items here is the cash and bank management. And here in summary, you have to ensure that the project funds are kept in a designated bank account for the institution or the implementing partner. And then you try as much as possible. It's not even that you try, but you have to ensure that all project funds follow the most direct and transparent route from the donor to the final beneficiary or supplier. So there is no mostly the withdrawals of money and in a way that an audit trail is missed. So it's always important to ensure that you avoid any unnecessary transfers between accounts or use of personal or any other unofficial accounts. And then, of course, you have to maintain complete records that are the receipts, the payment vouchers, as well as the bank reconciliations that are reviewed and they are approved on a timely basis. So the other key item is on the accounting purposes. This is the reliable accounting is vital to financial management and reporting. Because at the end of the day, remember that you must have a robust financial accounting system to be able to record all the transactions so that during the financial reporting, it will be quite easier for the implementing partners to report. And then there is what the EU requires, that you maintain a complete, accurate, and up-to-date accounting system for the project transactions, as I said. Then the EU also requires that you record all expenditures under the correct budget line and accounting code, as well as retain all the supporting documentation that can be able to provide a clear audit trail. and as well as ensure that the accounting records support our financial reports that are submitted to the EU. Some of the common challenges we always experience is a delayed or inaccurate recording of transactions. You find that transactions happen and it takes a month or two to be recorded. You also find that the transactions are missing the supporting documentation in a situation whereby an electronic financial system is being used. Another challenge is that you find incorrect allocation of cost. You find that purchases of
Bernard,
goods and services
Bernard,
are classified or reported. Sorry.
Bernard, just could you please speed things up a bit because we are late, so
Yeah,
try to,
I'm almost on the
please.
last
Yeah,
slide.
please.
Yeah, good. So maybe the key lessons here that we have learned is that you ensure you have a sound and a robust financial reporting system that can be able to support the reporting, the financial reporting. And as I said earlier on, this was actually the last slide, but maybe I can go on 1 minute on the lessons that we have learned. Regularly, you have to conduct internal quality reviews before submitting reports to the coordinator or the donor. And also you ensure that the finance and project teams review or work very closely before you report on your financial report. And of course, you do not charge any cost incurred before the start of the project, and you do not report project cost based on the budget, but rather you have to report project based on the implementation and actual expenditure happening. So, and these are the reference materials, and that brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bernard, for this presentation. Also, I think we'll be able to share with participants some slides, so we'll be happy to do that. I think it's time to move to the Q&A session, and I will give the floor to my colleague May to handle this Q&A session. Please, May, go ahead. And of course, colleagues, we are here to try to give some response to participants. So please go ahead, May.
Okay, thanks, Ahmed. I collected some questions from the chat and from the Q&A. So there are some questions on eligibility. So there is one question: are Benin, Gabon, Somalia eligible? Also NGO, CSO from Libya eligible?
I see if Mina with us. Mina?
I am, yes. What was the question? About the eligibility of countries?
Yes, some countries. Like
yes,
Benin,
I would
Gabon.
really advise you to go to each particular call, and in the call description you have the eligibility rules, in fact. So you need to check it for each single call, who is eligible. But usually if they say partners from the African Union, then you know that you're eligible. And it can be all types of legal entities. So there are no rules on who can participate. It can be a private entity or a public entity. I don't know if my colleagues want to complete, but yes, I will just check. There is an updated list of the eligible countries. But usually it should be, if it's written like that, it should be any country and any type of organization.
Okay, so also non-profit organizations, because this is another question.
Of course, yes.
Okay. Someone asked, can physical science research receive funding, particularly astrophysics research projects?
Can individuals receive funding?
No, physical science research, like astrophysics.
It really depends on the call.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I would say yes, but you need to find your topic and you need to find your call, the specific call. And I mean, maybe we didn't explain that, but the funding schemes that we talked about today are more in the pillar 2. So in collaborative projects, these are projects where you have multiple entities together joining a consortium. And then in these, usually you have the commission that tells you what is the topic. So this comes from, how to say, this is a bit top down. You need to fit your idea into what is required. We talked about these kind of calls, but there are also other types of funding, especially for researchers, like Marie Skłodowska-Curie that they mentioned, European research infrastructures. So there are also other types of opportunities where you can individually lead the idea, the research idea, and be eligible for funding, or in cooperation with other researchers. But it's really every single time you need to check the call that you want to apply to, and all the rules. We check it every single time, again and again.
Okay, another question. Can the LEAP funding be used to fund postdoc proposals in European countries? I'm Kenyan, currently finalizing my PhD in Malaysia.
I will take this. No, not yet, but because as you understood, the LEAP is conceived as a cascade funding, so it's a kind of small horizon proposal that have to be built, so we cannot fund directly a PhD or an individual. However, we are working in the next years on the design of a twinning program between research organizations in Europe and Africa, with the idea to establish memorandum of understanding between research organizations that would then facilitate this kind of opportunities. However, we try to do our best also to promote and disseminate any funding opportunities for postdoc and PhD students, in particular within EU universities that would be keen on welcoming this kind of public.
Okay, thank you. So someone wrote, last year stage 1 application never had budget upload section. Has this changed?
I didn't get that. So last year the single stage applications didn't have what?
Budget upload section. Is there
Okay,
a
so
section
if you find any
budget?
kind of yes, so if you find any kind of technical issues, really the recommendation, this happens sometimes, but quite rarely. Just write to the IT contact help desk of the European Commission. So sometimes there are little twitches on the portal, but usually they don't last long. So for me, it's quite surprising that something was not there that should be there for a longer time. Usually, if any of the applicants see something, we signal it and then it's fixed in a day. They're super fast and super reactive. So if maybe it's the matter of connection or accessibility, but if you have any kind of issues that are technical, IT help desk, you can find their email on the portal.
Okay, another question. Do evaluators expect energy proposals to clearly explain how the research will be used in practice and create real impact in Africa?
Yeah, yes, we talked about impact. So all of the proposals, no matter what is your topic, I would say, health, energy, connecting researchers should have this impact section very clearly outlined. And for European Union, the impact section is really how you create new jobs, how many publications you would have, and how your research could impact further research, how it will go beyond what is the state of the art. And then you also have like the impact on citizens, on the creation of jobs. So these kind of things should be clearly described for any topic. You need to be able to prove it, how your project is gonna contribute to these changes. I don't know if some of the other speakers would like to add something, because I think this question is quite important.
Yeah, I just want to add that in the evaluation, we have impact. Of course, we have excellence and we have impact and we have the efficiency of the implementation. So it's by default, so we have impact.
Okay. Someone mentioned that he's working on a research project on energy harvesting and IoT systems. And he's asking whether this is within the thematic priorities for future research grants from Horizon Europe. So
I think it depends because we have the African Initiative 4. So we promote when we have call of proposals open for submission of forthcoming, we promote. So I advise you to use the FTOP funding and tender opportunities portal and try to put some keywords, and you will be able to connect with all call of proposals. They cover this area. So let's begin to use the portal. So after that, we will be able to assist you if you have some questions.
Okay, do we have time for one more question?
Yes.
Okay, I think we can take a recent one that's just sent. Someone is asking, is there a forum or a way EU Africa could assist us in finding collaborators? I'm based in a Kenyan university working on medical plants, especially malaria.
I think the best way is to be proactive, to be connected, to participate in online events, because when we organize a lot of events, and we try to give a lot of tips on how to make connections and how to search partners from Europe, and how to be in touch with NCPs, national contact point, in many countries in Africa and Europe. So try to be connected, try to be proactive, and be able to have good partners for your consortium.
Okay. What is the duration of years for completion of AU-EU proposal?
Yeah, maybe I can take that one. So
Yes.
again, I know I'm boring. You just need to check the call description. So sometimes it's gonna be they will tell you about the time limitation, but usually we have presented for different types of funding schemes. It's usually between 3 and 4 years. Sometimes it can be 5, but these are usual timeframes.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I think other questions on eligibility. I think you mentioned that they can check the specific calls for specific eligibility criteria.
I think maybe we come to the end, but I want to give the floor to our speakers for today to give the final word and the final advice. And let's begin with Mina. Mina, the final word from you.
Just strongly encourage you to try.
Yes.
I think you have enough elements to just go today and try to build your network. Try to look for calls, and you will find something interesting.
Nice. Leonard, please.
Thank you. I think I would say you should take profit of platforms as EURAXESS or Leap Energy, as we are here for that, to provide you opportunities and advices. So I guess we are identified, and you should come up anytime in case you need tips, contacts, any support.
Yes. Thank you, Leonard. I want to say, of course, that we will share with you the recording video and also the slides. So by tomorrow, we will try to make an article news to summarize the event and put everything. So stay connected with us. We have a lot of events. We have a lot of activities and the end of this year in order to promote Horizon Europe, to promote the participation. And of course, I want to thank you again for this strong interest and this nice participation. And thank you, colleagues from Leap Energy, for this nice collaboration. I think we are happy for this first event together, and let's see if we can make some activities in the future. And we can say bye-bye now. Of course, May, thank you for your support as usual.
Thank you also to Dave and Bernard for the excellent insights.
Yes.
And again, to May and you, Ahmed. Happy to collaborate.
Okay. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Mina. And bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you.
Fine, thank you.